Hello everyone, this is Ashok, your personal guide and mentor. I welcome everyone to my YouTube channel AKB Tutorials. Here we are going to discuss and cover some important concepts of mechanical engineering that are very useful and helpful for competitive exam and job interviews. So let us start today's session. Hello everyone. So today in this video we are going to see some multi-choice questions. So it may be asking, it may be in your question papers like multi-choice questions, or it may be some interview questions. So we'll go one by one. So these are the most important questions from the topics what we have covered till today. So now first question. So I am writing the question. Stress in a simple bar. What is the difference between simple stress strain in a complex bar, or in a composite system? Okay. So that just I am writing the question. Difference between simple stress strain in a composite system and complex stress strain. So what is the exact difference between the simple stress strain in a composite system and a complex stress strain? So first one is a simple stress strain. So whatever video we have seen, that is we discussed about the simple stress strain. Say a bar is under load. So this is the uniform bar and the bar is under load P. Say the load is a tensile load, or it may be a compressive load, or it may be a shear load, and the stress or strain developed in this system is called the simple stress strain. Similarly, we have seen also a variable cross section bar. In this, the load applied, say it is P load. Also here the stress or strain developed is also a simple stress strain. Now in this case the load throughout the bar is same, as well as the cross section of the bar is same. Similarly here also the load is also same, as well as load same for all the sections, as well as if we see the cross sectional area as well as length of the bar are different, but then also the stress developed in this bar is coming under simple stress strain. Means this type of body generally made of same material, so same material bar. Okay, now in second case, that is in a composite system. So if the total load is shared by more than one member, then that is known as a composite system. For time being, you consider that this is the heavy load. Okay, this load is taken by number of bars. of different material. It may be same material, it may be different material. Okay, so let the total load P is a compressive load here and taken by bar 1, bar 2 and bar 3. So that means the total load is taken by or shared by 3 members here. So the length of the member may be same, may be different also. So here the length of the members are same. So we can see say a hollow tube. Okay, this is the hollow tube, and inside the tube there is another bar of this length. This length and this length are not same. Say a heavy load is applied over here. Now the load is taken only by, say, this is the bar 1 and this is the bar 2. The whole load is taken by bar 2 until unless this deformation is taken place in bar 2. After that, this load will be shared by the first member as well as second member. So in this case, what is seen is the deformation produced in all the bar will be same. So that means the strain produced also in the bar will be same. That is the main concept here. But in this case, the load is shared by second member only until unless this deformation takes place. And after that, load is shared by first member and second member. So that means load is shared by both the members as well as the strain produced will be different in this case. So these cases will be discussed in this composite system. So main idea is load is taken by more than one member, then that is a composite system. Now the third case, that is, say this is a bar, the bar is under, say, axial load P is the axial load and normal load you can say. Now if you see any cross section parallel to this cross section, so all the cross sections have normal stress developed, no shear stress. But if we consider an inclined section, with this an inclined section if you consider, then there will be two stresses developed here. That is, one is normal to this inclined surface, say it is known as sigma n, and a shear stress tau also will develop. So that means this is coming under the complex stress strain whenever the bar is under only normal load, or it may be in combination with normal load and shear load. It may be only in one axis, or it may be in both the axes. So the kind of stress strain developed is called, that is, complex stress strain. Now second problem we will see, that is, what is exactly the strength of a body? What is the strength of a body? What is the strength of a body? So we have seen the shear stress strain diagram of a body. So for a ductile body, if we draw the stress strain diagram, so the diagram is straight line for some distance. After that, it will slightly bend. After that, the inclination will be more. Then it will come down. Then there will be a sawtooth type formation. Then the curve will rise, and the maximum stress obtained in the curve is here, and body will break down here. This is the curve obtained for mild steel. Okay. So this point is called point proportional limit, up to which the curve is a straight line. After that, there is a slight bending of the curve, and up this point is called the elastic limit point and denoted by E. and this is called the upper yield point. It is denoted by, say, yield point, upper yield point, upper yield point, and this is called sigma UTS, ultimate tensile stress point. So what is the strength of the body? So if you consider as per this material science subject, so as per material science, this is the maximum load taken by the body or maximum stress developed in the body before body fails. So this is the actual strength of the body. So sigma UTS is known as the actual strength of the body. But for mechanical engineering, sigma Y is taken as, this is called sigma Y, and sigma Y is the upper yield point is taken as the strength of the body if the material is a ductile material. So sigma UTS is the actual strength of the body and sigma Y is the upper yield point stress, and that is considered as the strength of the body as per as mechanical engineering is concerned. In various subjects we will consider only sigma Y as strength of the body, but actual strength is sigma UTS. Okay, next question we will see, that is, what is unit strain? So we know the definition of strain, that is, strain is denoted by epsilon is equal to dl by L. dl is the deformation produced in the body for a length of L, and it is given by epsilon is equal to dl by L, or as per definition, it is the deformation produced per unit length of the body is called the strain. Now when epsilon becomes 1, that is called unit strain. So that is dl is equal to L, or in other words, when a body of length L is pulled in such a way that its length become 2L, then the strain produced is called the unit strain. This is the deformation, dl also equal to L. So this term is called unit strain. We will see the next question. Justify the statement stress causes strain or strain causes stress. So consider a bar. Bar is under two rigid end support. Okay. Now let the P is the external load acting over the bar. Because of load P, if there is some deformation produced in the bar, then only that deformation will be resisted by the end support and the stress will develop in the bar. If the deformation produced due to load P is 0, then the stress will not develop in the bar. So that means the term strain causes stress is the correct answer. Now we will see the next question, up to which point Hooke's law is valid. Up to which point Hooke's law is valid. Hooke's law is valid. So we know what is Hooke's law. Within elastic limit, stress is directly proportional to strain. And by this stress strain diagram, if we see, so first part is the straight line. So within this elastic limit, so it is elastic limit point here, but the up to proportional limit, this point is proportional limit, this point is elastic limit. Now body is fully elastic up to point E, but as per as definition of Hooke's law, within elastic limit, stress is directly proportional to strain. So we can write stress is directly proportional to strain. or stress is equal to some constant into epsilon. Now here two parameters are variable, that is sigma and epsilons are variable. So in higher secondary mathematics we can write y is equal to mx. So it is a straight line curve. So it is the equation of a straight line, y is equal to mx. So in the straight line portion only the Hooke's law is valid. Okay, so in books sometimes it is written within elastic limit, that is also correct answer, and up to point P or proportional limit Hooke's law is valid, that is correct answer. But if you write the Hooke's law is valid up to elastic limit, up to, then your question is wrong. Now we will see the next question, that is difference between, what is difference between stress and strength of a material. So we have seen now in stress strain curve. So this is the stress strain curve. Okay, so this is the stress strain curve for mild steel. This side indicates strain and this side indicates stress. Now the difference between stress and strength. So now let the body is under load P. So P is a variable force. So P can be increased from a minimum value to maximum value. Now when say the P value is less, so that time the stress developed, say here, this is the stress developed, say sigma 1 and say epsilon 1. When P is, say P1 load is applied, increase P value, so let P value becomes P2, so that time the sigma 2 is the stress developed and epsilon 2 is the stress developed. Continue to increase P value, so say here it is at Pn value, say stress developed is sigma n and epsilon is the strain developed is epsilon n. So now the stress developed in a bar, it depends on P value. So P value can vary from a minimum value to some maximum value. So the maximum value will occur here where the body will fail. So this point is called the strength of the body or strength of the material, that is the maximum resistance can offer by a body before failure. But what is stress? Stress depends on the load value. So load divided by original cross section. Actually it is not load, it is the resistance developed in the body per unit cross sectional area, is called the stress developed in the body, and it depends on P value. Next we will discuss one point, that is question number 7. That is, what is a prismatic bar? What is a prismatic bar? So in this subject, so again and again this is coming, this term is coming. What is a prismatic bar? So if we see a bar, the bar is having cross section equal at every point. The cross section, if the bar is having cross sections equal at every point, then the bar is called a prismatic bar. Now next we will see next question, that is What is isotropic material? What is isotropic material? Now, if the property value of a body in all the directions are same, if the property value of a body or a material is same in all the directions, say x direction along y, x direction, y direction and z direction, it is same, then the body is called a isotropic body. Okay. Next, or the material is called isotropic material. Next, we will see how we will justify that the body is a ductile body. How will you justify? How will you justify that the body is a ductile body? So a body is given to you. Now you have to say whether that body is a ductile body or a brittle body. Now to find out that the body is a ductile body, so you conduct the tensile test and find out that percentage of elongation. So percentage of elongation, if percentage of elongation becomes more than 15%, then the body is a ductile body. So that means for a ductile body under stress strain curve shows a large deformation before failure. If the percentage of elongation is given by LF minus LO by LO into 100%. So that means this is the change in length. So let LF is the length at failure point, LO is the original length of the body. So LF minus LO is the change in length before failure divided by LO original length expressed as percentage. That is called the percentage of elongation. If percentage of elongation of a body is more than 15%, then body is called a ductile body. Next question we will see, that is the last question of this video. What is toughness of a body? What is toughness of a body and how it is measured, and how is it measured? It is the shock load carrying capability of a body is called the toughness, or the energy absorbed by the body before failure is called the toughness, and it is given by, say this is the stress strain diagram. Okay, for a ductile body, and this is the failure point. So what is the toughness of a body? So this is the energy absorbed by the body before failure, and it is given by the area under stress strain curve up to failure point. So this is the area under stress strain curve up to failure point. This gives the toughness of the body per unit volume. Per unit volume. So if this sigma value, say average, if we calculate the whole area average value, that is say stress, average stress acting over the body is sigma average, and let this is the strain up to failure point epsilon F. Then this area is given by sigma average into epsilon F into volume of the body, that is known as toughness of the body. Okay friends, this is all about this video and we will continue in the next video. Thank you. That's all for today's session. We would continue further on this topic in the next session. Keep being connected with us and ask any question in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified for future videos. Thank you and see you soon.